What's up guys, Irish Turtle here, and welcome to my latest Siege content. So in today's video we'll be looking at 5 real tips to improving your rank in Siege. Why do I say real? Well, if you saw my previous video on reaching Diamond rank, you'll know why. If not, go and have a look. Now, before we get into this video, I do just want to add a disclaimer. I'll also probably add it on at the screen right now as well so you can read it. But it's that although I'm giving you tips to improve, there is no surefire one-way method to improve your rank in Siege. It's a combination of many different factors, and realistically nothing will be better at improving your rank than practice and communication. If you take anything from this video at all today in regards to wanting to improve, make sure it's that the main ways to get better at Siege are practice and communication. They are the major factors that will help you. Practicing will just help you get generally better overall with everything, just in general, and communication, well, is key. So if you're one of the people who want to get better but aren't willing to talk to your team, I really recommend that you don't bother with the rest of this video, because you're not willing to help yourself. You're not going to get much further in this game rank-wise without communication, so you may as well not bother with my tips because you're already not helping yourself, so this isn't going to get you much further anyway. Now, without any further ado, let's get straight into my tips. So, in no particular order, there are a number of different things you can do. At number 1, we have watch the kill cams. Now, this is something that I really believe is an important thing to do in Siege, as when you're killed, it's important to find out how it happened. Figuring out what kind of angle that player used, or hiding spot they were in, what kind of methods they used to kill you, means you can then use that method they used later in games against other players. Obviously you can't use it against the same player because they're kind of ready for it, but in other games you possibly can. In honesty, that is one of the ways I've learnt the most in Siege. Also, it's worth watching it, as it means you can give a comprehensive location to your teammate of where the enemy was when they killed you. 9 times out of 10, an enemy gets a kill on a teammate, and I ask where they were, and the response I get is, "Oh, I don't know." And it's like, well, had you watched that kill cam, you could probably have given me some idea of where it'd be looking, instead of just giving me no information at all. So I recommend starting to watch the kill cams. You'll honestly learn a whole lot more than you realise you could from them, and you'll start to benefit your team a bit more. I mean, seriously, saying, "Oh, he was upstairs when he killed me," means that your teammates can then sort of scan the upper rooms to make sure they're not still there. It's a useful thing to do, and you're going to start ranking up a bit more and helping your teammates as well, which obviously means that they'll help you win more rounds, and ultimately you'll rank up. My next tip is map knowledge. Now, when I say map knowledge, I don't mean learning the maps and the routes around them, because realistically you should already know those if you're trying to improve. If you don't, I'll put a link in the description to a how-to series that I've done, which has a lot of the maps in them with some basic sort of strategies on them, which is worth checking out if you're not good at the maps in general. But what I mean by map knowledge in this video is, learning the hiding spots around the map. Now, the reason I say this is because on some maps you can learn where you can breach through floorboards to shoot down on enemies hiding, or where you can create kill holes that allow you to get the drop on the enemy team. Basically, the idea is you need to try and learn these spots, as they will help you, and you'll also know what to look out for if the enemy are using these kind of tricks. The idea is you should be able to learn all the typical routes that people take, so you could set up a kill hole in a specific place to sort of flank the enemy, or to put them into a kill zone. And basically, you could do things where if you shoot through the floor at certain sections, you could either kill an enemy or force them out into a larger kill zone where the rest of your team could kill them. Basically, the idea is to allow you the ability to use more than the standard attacking points. Learn some different variation as you go, because honestly, being able to shoot down through a floorboard into another room is a fantastic thing, or the alternative of shooting up through a floorboard into an objective. Again, it works really well. A lot of players don't tend to be ready for that sort of thing. And I promise you, if you start doing it, you'll find that you'll actually start helping your team more and getting more kills or kill assists. Now, my third tip to improving is play slowly. Now, I'm not saying rushing is always a bad thing, but what I am saying is more often than not, the team that wins is the one that's slow and methodical about their play style. moving slowly and clearing rooms as they go while playing. Yes, sometimes a rush tactic might work, however, you can't keep relying on that strategy to win. I once saw a team, for an example, who tried to rush every single round. And after the first 2 rounds, we realised that they were rushing, and to compensate for it, we let them rush into the objective and then ambushed them from all sides. So realistically, while yes, you can rush, and sometimes it works, sometimes it does, I'd say about 8 to 9 times out of 10, you're better off with being careful and taking the game slowly and methodical than you are rushing, as it just works better for you in the long run. It stops you getting flanked, it stops them sort of, abusing like little tricks where they can place explosives that you can't see. Basically, the idea is it makes you more careful and less prone to making mistakes or getting caught unawares by the enemy team. Now, my fourth tip is what I would consider to be the most important tip that I'm going to give you during the entire video, other than the practice and communication ones at the start. And that is crosshair placement or aim improvement just in general. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, this is something that I already know or that I'm already trying to do. And while that's great, yes, this will help you improve at ranked, and while saying that, I still see players who have what can only be described as potato aim in ranked, aiming at the other player's chests or feet, or more often than not, aiming at the floor. So what I'm hoping to do with this tip is actually give you 2 very specific ways to help you improve your aim, depending on the amount of time that you can dedicate to playing Siege on a regular basis. Now, the first thing you can do, just generally, is try and maintain crosshair placement at head height. This is something you should already know, but if you don't, you really need to start doing it. And the reason for this is when it comes to aiming, it is faster with regards to your motor skills, your reaction times, to adjust the aiming slightly to compensate for enemy head movement, rather than having to bring your crosshair up to head height rather, and then compensate for enemy head position. You're basically, by aiming at the floor or their chest or their feet, adding in an extra step that increases the amount of time it takes to go from aiming to getting a kill shot. And this also adds an extra step in your brain for you to have to think about. And I can tell you, as a psychology undergrad, adding an extra step into your brain to deal with will slow your overall time between aiming and shooting. It may only be a difference of a couple of seconds to a fraction of a second difference, but with the amount of time it takes to kill in Siege with a headshot, that could make all the difference between winning or losing a firefight. So you want to start aiming at head height at all times and just compensating for enemy movement. Obviously, when it comes to shield operators, then go for it. Spray the fuck out of their feet. But otherwise, always aim for their head at all times. It's never going to be a mistake to aim there. Now, my next tip for improving aim is something you can do if you have a bit more spare time on your hands. Basically, the idea is you want to start building up muscle memory when it comes to aiming and shooting for the enemy head. Now, the best way of doing this is by playing Terrorist Hunt. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Terrorist Hunt, myself included. I personally think it's the most boring thing ever. But if you could start spending 10 to 15 minutes playing classic Terrorist Hunt before you jump into a casual or ranked game, I promise you'll start to build up a solid muscle memory for headshots. Basically, the idea is you go through the level with the aim to go only for that headshot. And essentially what happens is, as you repeatedly do it, your brain starts to subconsciously develop a rhythm for headshots. So all you need to do is aim for the headshot, and it starts to become second nature if you keep doing it in Terrorist Hunt. Now, the reason you do it in Terrorist Hunt is because you have essentially more heads to aim at per round. In casual or ranked, you've got to think you've only got 1 life per round, so you realistically only have 5 people's heads to aim for per go. So statistically, you're actually better off in T-Hunt, where there's a minimum of 23 people per round to aim at and practice getting headshots on. So now I want to address why I say 10 to 15 minutes each day before you play. Well, the reason for this is repetition has been shown to increase the chance of muscle memory being formed and ingraining into your subconscious so that you'll do it automatically. And then also, every time you then practice before you play a game, essentially reactivates that pathway that you've created in your brain, strengthening the subconscious link. So basically the idea is, if you practice and then jump into casual, your brain will have that like subconscious link as a more recent thing in your brain, allowing it to be activated quicker. So it's kind of cool, it's really useful to do, and it's something I guarantee will start to improve your aim just in general for headshots. Now I do quickly want to apologise, this section was slightly longer than the other tips, but as I said, this is one of the best ways to improve other than the first two things that I mentioned. So I hope you got something useful out of this slightly more long-winded explanation of how to improve your aim. And my final tip is the use of cameras and drones. Now, realistically, this is something, again, you should already know a fair bit about, but a lot of players, even up to gold rank, still don't use cameras or drones to an effective level where they know where enemies are in the room. Now, realistically, if you want to rank up, you're going to have to start using these a bit more. It takes all of 10 seconds to recon a room, and that 10-second check could be the difference between life and death in some cases. In all honesty, it is better to know an enemy's location and have 20 seconds left to push an objective than to have, say, 40 seconds and not know where the enemy are in a room. Knowing is half the battle, and is a famous phrase, and it is for a reason, because it's true. And if you know where an enemy is placed in a room, it means you can pre-aim their location, giving you a better advantage than having to go in blind and find the target first and then aim. It's a mistake that needs to be corrected if you want to improve in ranked. As I say, it doesn't take long to check, and it'll just improve your overall ability to be an effective operator as a whole. And again, this is something that can be done in both defense and attacking sides. So it's definitely something to work on if you struggle with that and forget about it. Obviously, if you do remember that, don't worry about it. Just keep up with the good work, because that honestly will help you rank up, as it means you die less often. And those are my 5 tips to help you improve and get better in ranked. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It might have been that you already knew some of the tips that I suggested, but I do hope you still enjoyed the video, and maybe you did learn something about one of the areas you're trying to already improve in. But, as I said, if you enjoyed the video, obviously feel free to hit those like, share and subscribe buttons, as it really helps my channel out and it gets me a bit more of a positive boost and out there in the community. And also, let me know your own tips for improving at Siege in the comments below, as that's the best way of getting more information, is sharing it with other people. You might have some tips that I don't know about, and I might have given you some tips that you didn't know about. So that's probably one of the best ways of getting better, is just to share with the community on how you improve. But thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. I really do. I put a lot of effort into this video, especially after doing my joke sort of tips video. So I hope you enjoyed this even more after having that shitty one to see beforehand. And other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next one.